So I'm going to slip this little bit in ahead of my normal intro to the episode. Somebody that we all owe a debt of gratitude to passed away over the weekend. I just heard about. The man who had the vision to cut the roof off of a Nomad and those bits that we needed to make this a Nomad passed away over the weekend. It's one of them things where he was aware, I guess, of the build that was going on, but he never got to see it, and he didn't live to see it finished, which is a shame. I would have liked to have showed it to him, because it was his vision to save those parts so that they could be used again on something that even made all of this possible. So his name was Bob Williams, and rest in peace, Bob. Hi folks, Doug here, Ellis Car Customs. We're home to White Toes, the shop cat, along with other cats you've seen come and go. Welcome back to my Nomad warriors who've been returning over and over because they don't know any better. And welcome aboard to any new friends that have found me. We're trying to fight the good fight, you know. Probably saw in the last video I was a little down. Things weren't going my way. But today's a new day, and we'll try to make some progress on things that are important. I figure I'll show you. I went upstairs in the top secret stash upstairs again, and I brought down something I'm going to need, and I'll show it to you here. This is a core support, the front. This is kind of a rare bear because it's not cut. Anybody who's dealt with these Tri-5s know that they're a bear to get the engine out without moving the core support out of the way and all this stuff. So people usually will cut this bar on the core support and then either weld it or bolt it back together. But this is all one piece virgin bar. So yeah, somebody took the time to get it out of the way before they pulled the engine out and didn't cut it. So that's a good thing. But it needs to be cleaned up. It's just got a lot of surface stuff on it, no holes or rust through on it, just a lot of surface pitting and stuff. So it needs to be cleaned up and have a fresh coat of paint. And once this thing is ready to go, I mean, this attaches to the inner fender wells, and the outer fender is attached to this, and so this is an important piece. But once you can put that in and put your inner fender wells on, you can run wiring, because you'll have the where the wires go. Because some of them run along the core support, some of them run along the inner fender wells, and without them in place, you can't really do the wiring under the hood. So I'll start out by cleaning this thing up. I still got more of that old stuff I got to get apart, because I was looking at the wheel cylinder. I've got the wheel cylinder for that side of the car, and I've got to get that big nut off, or the big bolt that goes into the spindle, and it mounts this sucker on there, and it goes through here and into the spindle, and that sucker is fused in there, but I got to have it because the brakes pivot on it, all that kind of stuff. This hooks to it. As it is, they don't give you the plungers with it. You think they'd give you new plungers, so I got to reuse the plungers I have and clean them up. You think, you know, they'd give you new plungers. But anyways, so yeah, we still got to get that apart, and we've got enough to keep us busy for a while. Thanks for coming. So we got our core support into paint. Is it perfect? No. Is it anything on the car perfect? No. But it's clean and it's black, and in the grand scheme of things, I think it'll look alright. Now when the core support is in, there's filler panels that go on either side. I'll show you. This is filler panels that go on either side of the core support. These have got some rust on the bottom. They're savable, but when rated to stash again, you'll have to tell me if this is overkill. Chrome plated filler panels. Again, from that abandoned project. I mean, is that too much chrome? Are we starting to get ridiculous with chrome? I mean, the nice thing about these, if you look at the bottom there, you can see, I don't know if you can see it too good, but this is nice and solid, and this is rotten. I would have to patch the bottom of this one. I could paint these if chrome was a little over the top, but I don't know. It'd be a shame, you know, these are not pitted or anything like some of the other chrome parts were. I think they'll shine up nicely. So it'd be a shame to paint over these. But I mean, won't need them for a minute or two, but I just thought I'd throw that out there. Give you a better look at the core support here. You see, it's shiny and black, and like I said, that bar is pretty rare because it's not cut. So one more piece done. So here's the steering box that came off the car along with the shaft. Like I said, beyond the spindles being seized on the control arms, the steering box is also seized up solid. So I don't know, I mean, they make rebuild kits for these, or you can just get a new steering box. I don't know. I could try to tear this one apart and see why it's seized up, you know, see if there's any hope of freeing it up. So we got that sort of apart. You can see if you look down in there, all the ball bearings that used to be in that bearing brace there. And I don't know if you can see it on camera, but it's bone dry in there, and the worm gears and everything else are just nothing but rust. I mean, it's one of the things that's not worth trying to clean this thing up and rebuild it or whatever. I'd just be so far ahead, I guess, to buy a new one. But yeah, you run into stuff like that. But I do have all these steering components, you know, that have to be cleaned up. I'm sure they need a little tender love too, but we'll see how much we can save. So our steering components are looking a lot fresher than they did before I started. I'm going to put a new grease fitting in there. That's why I didn't worry about masking that off. And it's always a pleasure to reassemble things that have been cleaned and painted so you don't get your hands all greasy, you know? Oh, I didn't film myself opening the box. Shame on me. But our back-ordered wheel cylinder arrived today. So we've got both of our front wheel cylinders now, so that's a good thing. So here I'll show you something I'm sure you older guys who've worked on these things know, but I didn't know. I just thought these were like locator pins or whatever, but turns out these are like factory rivets, hot rivets, peened over or something, but that's why the hub won't let go of the drum, because I would have to grind these suckers down until they let go of the hub. But I can still do that, but I'm not going to. I ordered up a set of forged aluminum hubs, brand spanking new, that come with all the seals, all the bearings, you know, everything you need. So it was another couple $100, but seems like everything you get's a couple $100, right? But yeah, that way we'll. Plus they have instead of the old style, you know, roller, you know, ball bearings like this, they have modern roller bearings in them and stuff. So they'll just be better. And like I said, it comes with the new bearings, comes with the seals, everything I need to install them. So that's the route I went with that. But yeah, recapping. These suckers here, if you want to split the hub from the drum, I guess you got to grind these suckers down even with the drum or whatever to get it to let go. Useful information. So by hook or by crook, that's what I got for you today, everybody. At least we tore apart the steering box and verified that it's unfixable. So we're going to have to get one of those. Cleaned up some steering parts, got more parts to do, more parts to take apart. Cleaned up our core support and got it into paint. Little steps that are inching us closer to the finish line. Hopefully it was interesting enough to watch, especially if you're new and you're wondering, is this guy worth subscribing to? If subscribing is something you want to do, I'd be glad to have you on board. But you don't have to subscribe to watch me, I guess, is what I'm saying. But subscriptions help the algorithm help people to find me. That's all. Same with the likes and the comments. So we've been doing pretty well for a little channel. The little channel that could, I guess. So thanks again, everybody, for everything you do, and hope to see you on the next one.